Well,
I think that's how this conversation started. Lady in the black hat, lady in the Big Mac. And who went to high school with who. I think actually Joan and Olson and Moore, all three went to high school here in Olympia. And Joan might be like a year older or something, or maybe he didn't meet them until I can't remember the old band names. It was Slater, Kenny Slater, and the Triumphs or something like that.
Really?
And Moore played keyboard, and I think Moore and Olson graduated high school, and Olson had to be in the military or something. This was all before I met them. Just knowing that they grew up together from kind of a teenage point of view, or at least by early 20s, in the 70s, and Obrador was born in a barn on Kaiser Road. Literally, they had this rehearsal space that was a barn. You could see through the wood, barnwood slats, and there was this field all around. This was 72, 71.
Where?
71.
Where was
on Kaiser Road.
Kaiser
out
Road?
by Evergreen.
Oh, okay, right.
Evergreen was new, kind of, and smaller, and there's a lot more woods and pasture around, a lot less houses and stuff like that. And anyway, there's this barn space, but they had like an Oriental rug in it, and it was pretty cozy, and so to me it's kind of like the little baby Jesus. Obrador was born in a barn. First Obrador configuration was Olson and Moore and Joan. It's always been Olson and Moore and Joan since day one. And Jim Doney was the other rhythm guy. So it was Olson and Doney were the drummers. And Doney played more trap, and Olson was the guy with the huge percussion rack and lots of hand drums and stuff. But Doney also way into percussion and hand drums, and there are a couple of Tauruses, and they were just, forever debating about, all of these rich cultural rhythms from around the world, and which white boy was right about it, or more right, or more exact, or I don't know. Did they have the lock? Or did they just want the lock? But, no, they're both great, and they did a lot of really fine work together. And then there were other, like African, Cuban drum groups with both of them, and all variety of people. And this was before Connie, years before Connie Bunyer came to town, and I actually moved to LA not too far into this whole thing. I mean, I was a staunch Obrador fan, and kind of one of the Obrador women, not quite a wife, but related to all of them. Oh, Tom Russell, he was an early member.
Who decided the name?
I think that was a
Really?
kind of also because they were all about being a workshop, and I think Obrador is supposed to mean workshop in Spanish or something.
Okay.
And then, well, I have to back up a little bit of when I met Moore. When did I meet Moore? So I met Paul when I still lived in Shelton because of a mutual friend from Spokane. That's how I met Paul and Ken. They lived on Vashon Island still when I lived in Spokane. And my friend Blink said, "Hey, want to hitchhike over the coast with me and meet my friends Kim and Paul?" And I was packed and ready to go, and then at the last minute I didn't go. And then a year or so later, I lived over on this side of the mountains and out in Shelton, and another mutual friend bring these hippies out, and one of them was Paul Young. And just through mutual friends, we met. We were destined to meet. And then shortly after that, Kim and I hitchhiked down to the Bay Area to hear and meet Flora Pelin in Aerto because she was a chaos personality, and we had to go down there to do an interview. And she acquired money from Evergreen funds to fly down and have lodging and everything. She said, "This is our travel money," and they like gave her cash or whatever, traveler's checks. So we cashed those in and bought drugs and hitchhiked down. And she said, "Well, I've got friends we can stay with." Well, one of them was Michael Moore. The other one was Manuel Pinson, who is now Vincent Soluna, which is his real name. He was born a twin, and the other twin died, and so there was a name switch at birth. And anyway, so Manuel, Vincent, and Michael Moore decided to move up from the Bay Area. For Moore, it was coming back to Olympia, where his family was, and telling his friend, "Hey, let's come up and meet these guys and let's play some music. You know, you're a good piano player." And so, 7 seems like about what the original Obrador. Oh, and then there's Aaron Sinego, sound.
So this is 72?
There's 73 maybe, by the
Okay.
time it all rounded up.
Yeah.
By the time Russell was in and they were doing gigs, quite early.
And Russell, how long after? Wasn't he?
He was pretty early on. Yeah, but he had gotten back and moved to Olympia.
Yeah.
I got to know Tony better. He ended up being a housemate of one of my best girlfriends. That was very convenient since I wanted to marry him.
So what was it like for that band? What was the first year like? Were they working? Were they playing lots of gigs? Was it just...
The first year, I don't remember. I remember the music was great, and they did a lot of originals and their own arrangements of standards. Of course, I didn't know those standards, so I thought everything they did was original. Every once in a while, I'd hear like, I don't know. I guess the first time I heard somebody else play Cantaloupe Island, I thought, wow, they're doing overdubs. But, there was half a dozen or so Joan tunes early on, and Moore was writing some nice stuff. Willow, that song, he wrote that a long time ago. And Olson would bring in, and Donnie too. Donnie was still an Evergreen student, and he was just is a magnet for any kind of world music or rhythms or free, experimental, you name it. He's just like the obsessed. Yeah, now have you met him?
I don't think so.
He lives outside of Mexico City and works in Baja, but he gets up here
Okay.
every
Yeah, I want to meet
6
these
months
people.
to 2 years. Yeah.
Because I'm connected to them.
Right. Well, because you were in Obrador
Yeah.
in later chronologies. I mean, have you met Vincent? Now it seems like you would have met him he happened to be in town for Sid and Isla's wedding.
I was there. Well,
Yeah.
I was at the reception.
Right.
No, I was at the wedding too. Yeah.
Well, did he play? I think he jammed at the. Did he play?
At the Elks.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's a great guy and he plays great. He's also an instrument repair guy. Is his day job. And then there's a crazy connection that don't want to sound too gossipy, but at the 30-year Obrador reunion, which was so much fun because people really came together for it. It's in the summer for one thing, and we rented the whole, not Lost Lake, but Deep Lake at one of those little park things that year. And is that true? Was to Miller, Sylvania. It was one of those, anyway, that you could hang out. And I think we couldn't sleep there, but we could be there all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Anyway, Jerry Mickelson. You know him?
No.
He's
These are all people that
another
have been
musician from Dan, and yeah, and then they've moved out.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry Mickelson, Jim Doney, and Messino worked in Puerto Vallarta as a trio, for a couple years. You know, like in the middle of the whole Obrador history.
Wow.
So that was trippy. Anyway, so we're having the 30 reunion. None of this is in very good chronological order right now. And all of a sudden Manuel, who's still Manuel, said, would someone please introduce me to this woman? And we all assumed that they would know each other because it was, how come I don't say her second name? Nancy-Jean Nicholson, Jerry's sister. It's like, and Jerry and Manuel, great friends, but he'd never met his sister. They ended up getting married.
Wow.
They just recently got divorced, unfortunately, too, but or not so unfortunately, but they had a nice surprise run of, and so they hooked up at the Obrador 30th, which is pretty fun. Or maybe it was the 25th. I get the 25th and the 30th mixed up because they were both great full weekend parties with all of our old friends, you know, and most of them, and pretty fun. So what else? Oh, and then we don't have a bass player in there. Who was playing? I guess there must have been 8 of them. The very first bass player, Mike Canfield. Now, I haven't seen him for years, but Mike Canfield was the first. I think he was a local guy, friend of theirs. That's right. And then he was the first personnel change, though. He slipped out. I think that's when Doc Doolittle. So I don't know Doc's real first name, but Doolittle was his last name, and he was Doc Doolittle. Bass, electric bass. I think after Doc Doolittle, then I think that's about when Steve Lucino rolled into town in his black 280Z, black on black, matte black, this little sports car. He came rolling into town looking a little bit like Charles Manson with long hair and a lot of facial hair and pretty buff. And he had friends that already lived here from New York, and Doc left, and I'll be darned, these guys need a bass player. So that's when he joined the group, and that would have been, I'd have to concur with him because I was set that a little earlier than it was, maybe 77 or something, not too bad.
Is that around the time they went to San Francisco to record?
Probably not long after.
Because I heard some of those recordings, and I keep
that
telling them, you
needs
guys,
to be, I know.
you guys gotta
That's the next album.
distribute that out.
I know. It's really. And those pieces, I mean, those really, it's their originals.
Yeah.
And they're done really well.
Yes.
And Stephen put one on his CD because it's his tune.
Oh, right.
And, you know, he said, you know, it might not ever get out on Obrador, but I want to put it out. And it sticks out a little bit in his CD. Not bad, though, as far as, you know, it's a whole different time, whole different style of recording.
Right.
But I was really happy to put it on. Yeah, and Michael Moore plays really nice on that, too. They've done that particular cut.
Yeah, that's a great recording I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always thought it was Olsen saying, I spend too much time thinking about money. And it's not Olsen, it's Carl Cook, who was there as photographer. And you know Carl? Darn, too bad. His art is in this house. He's quite the photographer and other things. And we shared a birthday. Yeah, but he's another one who's gone to the other side already.
Show me the art.
Yeah, I will. Okay, you've been in Studio 321 before it came down.
Yes.
The chair photos, the chair portraits, that's
Yeah.
Carl's.
Okay, yeah, all right. I've looked at those a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was...
And that's part of this history. You know, all of these people, they're like Carl said, you couldn't pay him to be in that chair series. He had to pick you. He said, these are all people in our family, our extended family, and they're all people that have touched my life in one way or the other. And it's a great series, and it's very wonderfully historic and a capsule of time. And the other thing was no rules about what you did in the chair. So there are all kinds of different ways people approach the chair that says a lot about them. And families, you know, like there's one of Michael Moore's kids, the three, you know, Drew and Bryn and Rita, that's so cute. Oh, they're just like, and so beautiful, and they're all three in the chair together. It's really sweet.
Who's got them now?
Well, they're all adults.
What?
Oh, you mean the photos? I thought you meant the kids.
No, right. No.
Where are those poor
No,
children?
because I know the building's gone, and I'm
One's
sure...
gonna have a baby. Yeah, Moore's gonna be a grandpa. Or again, I think his oldest daughter actually from previous marriage. I think she's had kids, but no, what? Oh, those
see,
pictures.
I had the studio that I was sharing with trumpet player Barry Caldwell, and so we had like...
Oh, at 321?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And I had to leave because it was going down.
I know. Well, it went down for so many years. I taught yoga there when I moved back from LA in '92, and between the smell of the Humane Society when it was there, and dogs barking and roosters crowing and stuff, and the sewage treatment plant that would get really ripe in warm weather, and no heat, so in winter it was really cold place to do yoga. Anyway, but that was fun to come back to and have the 321 be there, and
Yeah.
that was a cool thing. And Carl had his darkroom in the basement around back. And did you meet Bill Maltz, Mexican Bill?
No.
He had the little shack out back. That was his shop. Actually, by the time it was going down, I guess they were both out because Carl was sick and
Yeah.
dealing with cancer for a few years, and
It's
Bill
a great space.
moved out. It was. Many people did many things there, and shows. Blackwash Theater, did you ever know them? They were earlier too. Really cool. Some of those people are in Theater Arts of Olympia now.
I know that.
TKO.
The first time that I performed there, I think it was with Bert Wilson's birthday party.
Oh, okay.
How is he now? So it must have been his 60th birthday party that he had there.
That recent, yeah.
And Jeff Johnson was there.
Oh.
Mark Mason.
Oh, I was at that concert.
Zitro
Yeah,
was playing.
Zitro.
Zitro, that's right.
That was a good concert, huh? That was a really, really good concert. So there's a story. When I met Moore and Manny in Oakland,
Yeah.
I mean, Berkeley. They were, no, where the hell were they? Oakland, I guess. They're right on the Oakland-Berkeley line. That's why I get confused. Anyway, I saw a picture of Bert and heard so many stories about Bert and came that close to meeting him. And that was like probably 2 years before I actually met him. Because by the time I talked to him on the phone the first time, he was in New York. And it wasn't working out. He was in New York in a building that didn't have an elevator, and he got horns ripped off, you know, punched and ripped off in his crib. You know, it wasn't working out. So we did things at Olson's house. We had rummage sales and bake sales to get Bert's ticket to fly out, which was really cool. You know? And I had the big truck then, so I got to I met Bert in his airplane seat with his little dog Rocky, Rocky's Waltz. Rocky was on his lap, and he was pretty miserable from the flight.
Yeah.
And we got into my truck, and Steven drove, and Olson and I were in the truck, and that's the first time I got to really meet Wheels. And he didn't live right there next door to Michael at first. He had a different place. And some really cool different caregivers before Nancy came along. This, oh gosh, it was Joe, somebody, another horn player. This big guy, and I wonder what happened to him. And then Bob Meyer moved out from New York, and didn't know him at all.
Yeah.
The drummer who has played with Joe Lovano and people know. He used to be my favorite drummer. I do like his drumming. He's a busy drummer, and he's so full of himself. Ego, full of gossip. He knows it. We all know it. We all love him, but anyway, there's another wild man. And oh, there's a picture that you should see that from that era. Yeah, Joe's in it, Bob's in it. I missed the session, but I wasn't really. I was just a wannabe bass player. No, that's not entirely true. I played with Gila, and we were all starting to play around together a lot. But it's called the Brewery Tour, I think, and it looks like a cover of Life magazine or something.
Oh, okay.
But it's the Olympia Brewery, when it was still a brewery, and everybody's in one of the cooling rooms or something, and Laura May's on Bert's lap, and Barbara Donald's in the photo, holding the trumpet, and Sarah Simmons, and I think everyone from Obrador was in that shot.
Gosh, where is it? Who's got that photo?
I've got one somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
in my archives, and they're around. They're around. It's a really cool. It's like an art shot, but then it's like, oh yeah, I know all those people. they're all my peeps. But Russell might have missed that session too. I can't remember him in the picture. But yeah, that's a good one. Oh, but the chair series. We were talking about the chair series and where those are. Luckily, Jay Dean, his dear widow, collected them all, and just recently, because I used to bug Carl all the time, man, this needs to be a book. It needs to be a coffee table art book, because it's that good. You know, just to flip through, it's beautiful.
Right.
And especially flipping through, it'd be like a movie, you know, with the different people and just the chair moving and stuff, different lighting and whatever. But he was kind of a curmudgeon kind of guy. And he's like, nah, too hard to get everybody. Some of these people don't even like me, and I wouldn't be able to get permission. And some of these people aren't even alive, and you can't print photos, and I don't know, I get sued or whatever. And he just didn't want to do it. But now Jadine says she's going to, and that will be really cool. It'll be really cool, because I know enough of us would want prints to make a run, and then then they're kind of a rare collector's item. If they did another run, maybe she could sell them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, I'm really glad that they're salvaged, because they're special.
I never knew the story behind those photos, but I had looked at them quite a bit when I was there practicing.
And I didn't live here when most of those were taken. In fact, I didn't know more as kids. I'd come here from LA and go visit Carl and go, wow, and who's this? And I go, whoa, that's so-and-so's baby, and look at him now, or whatever, you know. And so those photos helped me keep up and catch up, you know. That, and Russell would send me, especially when I first moved to LA, he was so good about sending me all the flyers and posters, and I just cried, I'm gonna miss this gig, and and they were playing in Seattle a lot by then too, at the Bombay Bicycle Shop, and they were gigging and having fun, and I'm in stupid LA. But the chairs, and I think John Shepard, Teslino's husband, he and I are the only nudes that chose, okay, we're gonna. I think Jan might have influenced me, but oh yeah, that's a good idea. But I'm under the chair. You can't really see anything because I'm naked and under the chair. And in an airplane position. It's good. It's a good shot. It's like, what? And John's just casual in the chair. Yeah, it's a great series. I love that series. George Barner's in there. I mean, it's great. It's fast. Good room.
It'd be nice to see those available for.
Because they're even more than what were up on the wall. Like he would rotate them a little bit because he felt he had run out of room. He wasn't going to plaster every square inch in there. And it has to be just this wall. And,
yeah.
Anyway, that's good history.
That's a lot of background information.
Oh, and Obrador rehearsed at 3-2-1 because when I was teaching yoga, one of my classes, we'd be in final relaxation.
Yeah.
These guys are out on the sidewalk in front of the door, and there's a big gap under the door there and stuff. And they're and smoking pot and fuck this and political stuff. And it's like, guys, trying to do the meditation minute here. Oh, and Bentley was pretty early on too.
Yeah.
He was a boy, I swear. He was, when I first met him, it's like, Jesus, you old enough to go into the clubs with you? Because he just was so, and he had this long Prince Stallion golden hair, and he was so Bentley-like, but he was this young boy and an older coachman. I was really impressed by that. Ooh, he's from Tacoma. Ooh. All the way to Tacoma? And little did I know that he and Pribino were friends. Because I didn't meet Pribino until just a few years ago.
I had no idea they went that far back.
They do. I know.
And I put them on the same
Who
gig,
knew?
thinking, oh wow, there's a whole bunch of history there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes
it's
sense.
Just, when there's so much history, it's just like so taken for granted. You don't even think of how far back it can go. 'Cause I was surprised. I didn't even picture them like sibling age or anything to be schoolmates or anything like that.
So when did he come into the?
I think he was soon after Donnie, and who played bass when Donnie and Lucino were in? There might have been a little bit of a Obrador hiatus with, but maybe it was, no, they were probably still playing. Oh, and then that's when they had different sub bands starting up too, like, well, there were 3 Steves. Oh yeah,
And 2 Michaels.
Munger must have come after Manuel left. And see, by then I was in LA too, so and because I didn't meet Munger until real late. I'd kind of see him, and he always looked different to me. And then finally I'd say, who is this guy? And I'd hear him play or something, and go, whoa, who is this guy? And finally Olson said, well, he's only in Obrador. And it's like, yeah, well, I've been gone for a while, And same with Connie. It's like, what? Now you let a woman be an Obrador? Because that was I would have just given anything to be an Obrador. But no, I wasn't good enough for one thing, seriously. But, it's kind of like, it wasn't an intergender band at that time. But Connie broke the glass ceiling because, well, she's that good. So Connie and Munger, they added in. But I think there was another bass player too. Oh, and Bentley replaced Donnie. Because Donnie went to start traveling and playing farther away. I think he went first with Nicholson. Jerry, piano playing, singing, wondrous player too. He's in Southern California. So who would I be forgetting? Yeah, there's some missing bass player there, I think, that kept the ball rolling. Oh, Skip Elliott, maybe, who I don't know. He was here exactly when I wasn't, so I think we've met a couple times. Same with that young bass player, he's probably not so young anymore, who lives in Portland. Oh, what's his name? Who played with Bert, and he's a really fine bass player, and he just got Bert's material so well, and that was when Bob Meyer was playing drums with Bert, and you know, it took a special bass player to be able to fit in there, because they played duet a lot. In fact, I loved it. Drums and sax. And Bert would play his bass clarinet quite a bit then too. Bass clarinet, and it's Bob plays very melodically and lyrically and free, and oh man, and that by then he did live next door to Olson, and Nancy was on the scene, and she could play with them too. And I would just sit in Olson's yard and listen to Bert and Nancy's and just freak out because it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. And Bert played for hours back then. I mean, he'd have students, and there was just constant barrage of music coming from that house. You know? And I'd play every once in a while, but I was really always intimidated by just the level of energy and expertise. It's beyond me.
And his music,
yeah.
his music is really.
And it was all his book, you know what I mean? There'd
Yeah.
be some occasional Coltrane or whatever, but it was people there to play his stuff with him.
Yeah.
Art Pepper, you know, just whoever was in the area. And I think somewhere in there, that's when Ocho Pays was probably born next door at Olson's, because that was half of Obrador, and it was more logical to get gigs.
Yeah.
As big bands. Well, they always had a hard time getting booked because, one, you couldn't put them in a box as far as what their music thing was. You know, are you a club band, or definitely not top 40 and kind of jazz, kind of, but and varying horn sections and stuff too. It's harder to keep it all together, for it to be polished, ready to go gig, and try to make a living at it.
Yeah, the horn section I was in was so ready to swallow that scene. I mean, just to play and to catch up to the music so quickly.
Yeah, you mean when you and Amdahl and
Blanc.
Am I missing anybody between you guys coming on? I mean, I think maybe the band had been kind of quiet for a while, and then you guys just like pumped it up with new life.
Yeah, that was fun.
But you didn't go to Cuba.
No, I didn't go to Cuba.
See, I lose a little bit in that sense. I've been back, and I can't remember what happened in what order. But so who went to Cuba? Oh, Privino. When did Privino? I mean, they never had more than 3 horns at a time, did they? Or I guess 4. I knew it. Yeah. Because Privino got in the horn line there before you, right, and before Andy, I think.
Yeah, it was Russell, Blanc, Amdahl, and me for, I'm not sure for how long. It was a while.
And the variety of horn options with,
Yeah.
between Russell and Blanc, you know. That was really a good band. That was a really good band. I think you're right about trying to get together, you know,
Well,
I don't know.
it would be
Even
fun.
for a jam set,
Yeah.
or, you know,
It would be fun.
at the Royal, or
Yeah,
a couple
well,
sets at the Royal. It would be really fun.
just a quick and have it open to any.
Well, you know what? It should be timed for, you can't really call it an Obrador anniversary anymore, but you kind of can since the birth of it, you know, it isn't
Right.
like it's been an active band. But what a rich history, and why not kind of plot it?
I mean, it'd be great to hear any of these musicians just come for a jam session.
Yeah, well, and you guys,
sit in.
you guys are all still alive and well and local. I mean, this horn section could be put together.
Well, yeah, well,
And that's awesome.
and we could.
I mean, Blunk is playing again, isn't he?
He's in Portland now.
Oh, they moved.
He moved, but I'm sure he
I
would
know
come
that.
up for it.
Yeah, I think he would too. I mean, yeah, he's one of those guys. How can he ever not play music? And he tries to do that sometimes. You know, I'm not going to play him. But no, that would be great. That would be really great.
It's and I'm sure there's more.
Well, and Olson's around. Moore's usually around or could be around, except his hands are giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
Hard time playing. Really sad. Jones around. And those guys are going to be missing Ocho Pies a lot. Steven's ready to move on, but he's got other options too.
I've been wanting a chance to play with Paul.
I like Paul's playing a lot, and I love his writing. Oh, he writes really interesting things. His old tunes and his more recent tunes, everything in between. Really, he's quirky as a composer, I think. And yet, some of his tunes sound like I think Lady in the Black Hat. It's like it's a standard, you know. It's so, you know that song, right? And you played with us and probably with them too. That's a great tune. It's not even his best tune or most interesting tune, but it's so solid. I think Perkins might write words to that or something someday. That would take that to a whole new level for it to be a vocal.
Yes, what a great songwriter Perkins is.
Yeah, I know. That's as much of a surprise as when I, you know, was surprised that, oh, she's not just a friend, she's really a musician.
It's like she's written, what, 12 new songs in the past 3 months or something like that.
Really? I didn't
It's
even know that.
really cool jazz. Thanks.
Yeah. I managed to forget it was on most of the time, which could be dangerous.
Well, you're in and out of the picture, so if anything is said, you can't prove that it was you.
Right. Plus, it looked like you were silhouette.
That was early Obrador, and I'm sure there's a lot more. Oh, that's fun.